All right, this is it.
I was like, like it doesn't have to be perfect or timed or anything, right?
No, this is where it begins.
Okay.
We can edit it if we want to later.
Okay, good. Yeah, today felt like a clusterfuck of things. It's weird because like I feel like I've had a better start to my week, like kind of like a better, I guess, outlook on how this week could go. And at the same time, I feel like it's even crazier than last week.
I remember when I told you, I don't know when I said it, but I said, maybe it'll be different this week. I didn't see this coming.
I didn't either.
I didn't see us starting this as a, or even revisiting the idea of coming back to frienditas or anything this week.
Like it wasn't planned or it wasn't even like on the horizon. Or, not like it was ever off the table.
Right.
But rather it was like, it wasn't quite on the horizon. Maybe because like we just weren't looking in that direction of the horizon. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, earlier I was, you know, since we were talking about this, I was also like, let me check out, you know, like guys we fucked. And one of their most recent posts was like, oh, like it's been 10 years since we've been doing this. And I was like,
really?
10 years. Yeah, like I think this year makes it 10 years for them. And I was like, wow, because like, yeah, you know, because you found them in college, I started listening to them then. And I'm just like, I mean, you know, I didn't listen for all 10 years, but, you know, we were pretty early in kind of their time. And, like, they're a big part of why they started the podcast was because Corinne was like, oh, the breakup heard around the world is what she would say.
That's right.
Like, the guy who broke up with her in, like, a pizza shop or something like that. Or a Panera Bread. That's what she said, a freaking Panera Bread. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, like, maybe this is ours. Where it's just, like, we're just so fed up with, like, everything.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like there is almost just no other thing to do but just do this.
I want it to be documented that this is of a breaking point, I would say. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be negative when you think about breaking point.
No.
But it is, that's what this is. This is a breaking point. We feel insane a little bit. We feel...
Well, like, I feel like a breaking point from kind of, like, the good little lives that we have to live to, you know, to get by and to deal with what's going on in the world. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh. The screen just came on. Just double checking.
Also, I kind of want, like, I mean, can I, like, talk to you?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I also don't want it to be like, oh, it's like, we have to always talk as if it's like, oh, just to clarify, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's just a conversation between us two, right?
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, for example, like, that crossed my mind. This can all we can keep all this in here, but that crossed my mind too when you made the Guys We Fucked reference, because if people don't know that's a podcast, they'd be like, what? But again, it's not where this is at right now. This is just live, raw conversation between us.
I'm like, you know, how am I supposed to talk freely if it's like, oh, always feeling like someone else is in the room? I guess when no one really is. I don't know. Is that bad? Like, I don't.
It's funny because right now, no one is in the room,
No,
and at the same time, if this is up on the internet, someone in the future can listen and then they would be in the room, but they're not here right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk as if it's just us, but we can also, it's fine to address the fact that this is a podcast, or an attempt at kind of a podcast.
Yeah. Because I think that would help me to be able to just, like, genuinely talk as myself, because it's like, unless there was actually, like, we had a guest or something, then I would talk accordingly, but it's like, there's not. I'm just talking to you, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. No getting in the head here. I mean, I think this is practice makes perfect. This is the first time we've done this. Because we've had many different creative endeavors before, but this is... I don't think we've sat down and talked.
Not like a podcast talk. We've tried to do, like, vlogs or, like, those kinds of things. But if anything at all, they've definitely never made it like out of the camera roll.
No.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll just feel weird in the beginning, and then it'll get easier as time goes on.
The nice thing is that, because like with this, it's like we talk every day, so it's like, who knows if this will even be the first actual episode. It's our first hour, we know, like it's our first recording, but it doesn't even have to be like the actual first, like what we post. It could be something that it's like, oh, like we posted as like like here's our actual first one, like, things
right.
But like, yeah, it's like just getting comfortable with like, this is like the table's closer, we have
I do like the idea of, even if it's not polished, for it to still be the first one, because it is, in a way, it's a first try. And that's another big thing, is part of embarking on this journey is to let go of the fear of being seen trying, just similar to being perceived.
And also, like, I mean, I was talking about this earlier, but just like letting go of the grip, the gorilla grip of perfectionism. Like, again, I don't have a problem that this would be the first one. It's more just like, it's our call, where it's like, oh, it doesn't have to be, but it's definitely like we're doing it still. But what I was going to say was that, like, because we talk every day, it's like, who knows, like, we could honestly just every day record our talks and
every day.
Dude, it's not like what remember how we like what last week we were literally talking, and I was like, oh, like it would have been kind of fun if we had this recorded, because it was super just back and forth and so I'm just like, yeah, at any moment's notice we could just like prop this thing up. And
we've had that thought, both of us, many times already, probably silently without even telling each other, because we know
like many times out loud. So what more, like, that we didn't actually, like, neither of us said out loud.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's the thing, we talk every single day.
It could become a habit, like journaling or something. I don't know. It's just it just. I don't know if we already mentioned this earlier, but the whole bursting at the seams, which is what this is, it just needs to come out. Whatever it is, it needs to come out. Like throw up or purging, or but that makes it sound like what we're saying is poop and nasty, which is not. Maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
But it still needs to come out.
Yeah.
Also, moments of silence.
Yeah.
I think that's fine too.
Yeah. Again, we're getting into this, and it's like we're always talking about things, but it's just like, yeah, like, while this is the most, I guess, or most natural / like least amount of effort in terms of setup, I'm like, well, there is a difference where it's like, now the table's closer and we do have something propped up, so it's like, okay,
there's an awareness.
I don't. I'm just like, hello.
Yeah. It's like, oh, don't look at me or don't listen.
Yeah, and see, like this, like even something so little as this, I'm still like, oh.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting over.
Yeah, it's I'm being confronted a little bit. That like,
it does feel confronting.
Am I speaking differently because I'm aware that on some level this may be heard from someone other than you?
Yeah. And that's why I was reminding you. I was like, we don't have to talk as if it's like, oh, by the way. It's like, no, like, if they know, they know. If they don't, then like, whatever, sorry. Like, yeah. And like, that's the thing. I'm saying that, and I'm like, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm tired of people pleasing.
Yes. That's yes.
Yeah.
No more people pleasing.
Yeah.
But this fall where it's gonna fall.
Is that the phrase?
Yes. Just let this happen. Yeah, again, it's a practice thing. I'm here in this moment, and also wrestling with this awareness that this is being recorded, and why it's being recorded, because we're at this point now where we just want to put it out, go, keep going.
What's funny is I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, we really have no reason to be nervous because it's like, it's not like the police are gonna come barging into our door right now. And it's also like, we can edit things out if we really need to, or like whatever. So I'm just like, in the moment, yeah, there's nothing to be worried about.
It's the potential. Maybe in that way I do relate to you with the fear of potential.
Fear of your own potential. Yeah, that is something. I mean, that's again of my, vaguely 100 journeys. I'm like, yeah, like that of being so scared of my own potential, because it's just like, I think that's the thing. Like the bursting at the seams also represents that, because why would I burst at the seams if there wasn't anything else? You know what I mean?
If there wasn't something within me to be bursting out of the seams, there's somewhere. There's so much in me that is just like oozing out, and I'm restless.
Yeah.
I think fear of the potential is similar to fear of the unknown, because I don't know what this is. I don't know where this is going. I don't even fully know the why, other than I don't feel. I was gonna say I don't feel good, but it's like that. That's very vague.
What do you mean you don't feel good?
I don't feel good in this restless energy. It doesn't feel good. It feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm in discomfort.
Oh yeah, so, like for a whole, it's 2024? I'm like, for all days of 2024 so far, I felt very uncomfortable.
Yeah. With a month and a half in.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about this many times before, about like, oh, what if it's a podcast? But this is the first time it's happening.
Yeah, which is just funny because like it really didn't take that much effort at all. We didn't have to even plug anything in. And it's just, in this whole month and a half that we've been in 2024, at least, it's like, We could have had so many other things recorded, but it's just like, now suddenly it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But
this is bringing up, this is, the act of now doing this is now, I'm realizing, oh, wow, I am comfortable with this.
But I also think,
I thought I wouldn't be. Yeah. I thought I'd be fine.
Yeah, no, and like, I'm not even saying all the things I'm saying to you, being like, oh, like, no, like, you can get over it. I'm like, I'm right there with you. I'm very much just uncomfortable, too. Not because it's like, oh, I'm not physically comfortable. I'm like, I mean, we're just doing the same regular things. This is the perfect setting. But it's, it really is just like the discomfort that comes with tapping into potential. Because it feels like now I'm starting to slowly, like, the one thread of that seam that's bursting, I'm starting to pull it, and it's like, oh shit,
It's a big question mark, like what's gonna come of that? Not that it matters too, but and it's like I say that, and I fucking care a lot about whatever this, because we know what we're doing right now is not everything in terms of work and whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, the whole, like, even just having this, like, outlet is nice, because, like, I feel like I can't even talk candidly about work, like, for example, on, like, social media stuff. One, because now some people from work found me, and I'm just like, fuck, like,
lovely.
Yeah, I love that. But then it's also just like, oh, like, what if this is found on, like, I don't know, TikTok or something, like if I complain and then it like blows up, and then for some reason someone who works with me who's on TikTok sees it and is like, hey, let's hop on a call. Fuck you. I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm like, why can't we just be like, why can't work just be work? It's like, I wouldn't hate work if they didn't require me to love it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I'm like, if it was all neutral, if work understood it was just work, I would enjoy it. I'd be like, cool, like, clock out and that's it. I don't have to overperform. I don't have to, sell my soul from 9 to 5 and like whatever. It's, Yeah,
it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I go off into tangents and I'm just kind of like, yeah. But
I think that's a good thing. I think we can...
Thank you. Yeah.
use that too, because I remember when getting high that one time, understanding that it doesn't matter if it's not linear, the conversation topics, it can turn into itself, keep going away onto different tangents, only to eventually it actually connects this whole time, because everything is connected. You can hear the siren in the background. Yeah. So this is the beginning point. This is when it begins, February 13th of 2024.
Aquarius season, baby. Yeah.
The beginning of a new journey of some sort.
Yeah.
And it's just practice. I remember when I anytime the first pieces of content I was making for my own like personal YouTube videos, the first ones were super uncomfortable, and then it slowly got easier.
Yeah.
Still little by little, and maybe it was the same for you with yours.
Yeah, eventually. But then I think what crept in was definitely like a deathly duo of perfectionism and then people pleasing, in the sense of like, I don't want to say something a certain way in case that might like not reach a wider audience because it's, blah blah blah. I'm just like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like,
yeah.
Because that's the thing. I mean, like, as I was also telling you earlier, it's like I've caught up with some people in my life, and again, it's not like, I see them as any less or anything. It's more that I see why it's a catch-up friendship or like relationship versus like, like we're actively friends, because I'm just like, well, yeah, your life outlook is a lot different than mine. Doesn't make it bad. I just now see a lot of the differences. And it's like I was telling you earlier, it's like those things honestly were kind of always there, but I was so deep in people pleasing and wanting to be liked and wanting to have like friends who accepted me, or like, just a version that they can accept, that it's like, I'm just thinking like, no wonder I felt like so hollow a lot of times in social interactions, because it's like I had to become a version of myself that wasn't even remotely a full version of myself. But like, it's like I grapple with like, was that fake, or was that just scared? I don't know, maybe that's the same thing.
I don't think it's fake, because you was it intentional, like manipulative? I don't know. Maybe remove fake, because I'm putting like a negative emphasis, like some fake is negative. And I was like, no, it doesn't have to be negative. Fake is just neutrally, it's just not 100% real. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You could argue that when I was not being the most me, I wasn't aware of how much of me I could be, that I was being fake. And it's like, no, I wasn't. I genuinely thought that was me. I was someone who ride and die for my biological family, for example. And I'm like, was I being fake? No.
It's kind of like that episode in Avatar when Jet and then the Freedom Fighters were like both like, just confused, like, dude, where'd you go? And he's like, what? Like, I'm fine. And then Toph was like, they're both telling the truth. Where it's like, like basically two sides of yourself at different points in time can absolutely have the same truth, because like at the time, that's just who I was. Yep. And it's like, truly, I don't think I was like, it was not, I don't think it was out of like, like manipulate people, like blah blah blah. It was more just like, I just didn't know how else to be.
Yeah. Writing on the default, the programming that I picked up on for the longest time, which is why this period of our life is so interesting and also strange, hard to define, because after you shed all this programming and now you're becoming more of yourself, I don't know what's out here. More of me, yes, but it's undefined.
Even with that like kind of analogy or even like visual, I'm thinking like, obviously whereas like for our early years, where is the biggest place that we're kind of like molded and like programmed into like ways of thinking? It's school. You know, for however many hours of the day and more if you have like extracurriculars, like whatever. It's like, you know, we're just told things. Like, yeah, sure, we learn maybe, but a lot of it too is like we're told how to act, we're told what we're allowed and like not allowed to do. And then it's just like, yeah, like if then, you know, at the later points in life when you're no longer in traditional school anymore, it's kind of like, you know, whether, you know, primary school or like college or master's or like none of that, like once like you're out of an institution, it's almost like, yeah, when you realize you're starting to make that shedding, it feels like, oh my god, now I'm back to, you know, like when I was a kid, absorbing all these things. But it's like, it's uncomfortable because now I'm my own institution and I broke away from the institution that taught me. So what the fuck am I? Yeah, because
also the institution did not teach me to ask questions. And so that's why I think why we come across it so often where people be like, oh, that's a good question. I've never even thought about that. It's like, I probably understand why, because your school just told you what you think. They didn't, and also they didn't encourage you to ask yourself questions. Right.
Or it's like, even if there were like, oh, like, does anyone have any questions, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, yeah, it's like, blah, 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 I have a question. A lot of time, I mean, at least in our generation, it kind of felt pretty common to get like, like, that's not a good question. Or like, oh, you should already know because it's in the textbook, or like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why even bother asking a question? But then it's like, it's like school. I feel like a lot of learning that I have from life never really actually came from like being in school hours. It's like, yes, I learned school things. So okay, yes, I learned, you know, book knowledge, but like life knowledge, none of it was from school really. It's like it happened at school. Like, okay, yes, I was at school and this thing happened, but it wasn't like, oh, I was sitting in class and I learned some profound life knowledge.
Right. No. It wasn't the curriculum that taught me that. It was maybe social interactions. That could have happened anywhere. It's just we were all at school, so that's where it happens.
And it's like, I'm not discounting that school as like a setting, not as an institution, but as a setting, obviously can offer up a lot of learning experiences, like life learning experiences, because, you know, where do you learn things? You learn things from other people because they're just mirrors of yourself. And it's like, okay, yeah, obviously, yes, you learn a lot from school, but I say learn a lot very open-ended because it's like, I'm not talking about, you know, like things that you read in a textbook and then you memorize for a test and then you get good grades for that test. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, how do you interact? And oh my gosh, I'm internalizing like other people's lives are completely different from my own little sheltered life kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I feel like a whole podcast can maybe be talking about like each segments of schooling I've been in, like elementary, middle, high school, college. Like I could talk about all those and how like each little thing, you know, was different from the others, I guess.
Yeah. I think about how I needed to have a certain mindset in order to, quote, succeed in schooling, to get to college, which is more schooling, to then get to a job. And then now here I am unraveling all of it.
And it's like...
It's okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it played out.
Unless you are, like, actively... I don't know. I'm just going to say it, right? I'm just going to say it. I feel like unless you're, like, actively self-aware, like, you are... Oh, I know I am aware of what I'm experiencing. I feel like even work as an institution is kind of... Unless you put in the active, like, awareness to learn and not just, like, what do I do for my job and learning a technical job skill. No. It's, like, life skill from work. You have to be actively aware for that because even work as an institution, honestly, like, they just... If anything, they hire you because you already learned things so they don't have to teach you anything. There doesn't have to be this back and forth of, like, how do you learn? How do you teach? How can we have a back and forth on, like, this interaction? Most of the times they just hire you because, like, oh, you already came with, like, 5 years of experience for an entry-level job so that we don't have to teach you. You can just get in and do the work. But, like, that's the thing. Do the work. Also, you know, make us a lot of money and, like, that's really all you're worth. But it's like, no one's really learning about each other, like their lives and how they think.
No.
Because there's not enough work time for that. That's like talk about that after work or at the water cooler. But it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, the value is that your value as a human when it comes to the work structure is that you just create what they want. You just do the service that they want you to do, and that's
for the execs and for the shareholders.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. That's it forever until you die. No, actually, until you retire, which is closer to when you die now.
But like I had heard that they were like trying to raise the retirement age to like 70 when like what the average lifespan is like 75 years at most, like at an average. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like, what is that frustrating enough for you to wake up yet, or what? Like, I don't know what it'll take for certain people. What is it? How much do you have to be pushed to wake up to that, to understand that none of this has been for us at all?
Yep. That's the thing. It's like, I can see that things are changing, like some attitudes are different, but not like, I'm not saying like, oh, drastically different. It's like marginally different, right? Like they're not drastically different, but people are now like, oh, fuck this, and like let's revolt or like whatever. No, it's like recently, you know, I've had a couple friends who were affected by tech layoffs and all that stuff. And then even today I saw a foodie friend, she had posted like, oh, she like just started her, or not just started, but like she's been in her new job now for like a little less than half a year. Because like the last time I caught up with her, she was like in the middle of applying, and then like, you know, she had gotten it a few weeks after, and like so she's been there up until now. And it sounds like she's still there, but she posted a story that was like, oh, there have been several instances at my work that have led me to be really uncomfortable being there. And a lot of it was mainly like, you know, people of color things, because she's a person of color, and it's like it's been like these slightly microaggressions and like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's like she's uncomfortable, and like she's tried to stand up for other people that she noticed were affected at her work, and then like, you know, higher ups. It was, I'll show you the screenshot, but like it was because I took a screenshot because I was like, oh my god, because I wanted to talk to you about it. But it's just like, it's like, I'm like, if you just keep going, if you keep questioning it, like you'll see, like it's not just like like work is unfair, like I need to just go to another job. I'm like, obviously, you know, on a bare basics level, I'm like, yes, do what you gotta do. Like if you just need to get another job to continue making ends meet, of course. Right. At the same time, that's not it though. Like you can't, like, don't just leave it at that. Right. Like you know, to the friend, to the several friends that I've seen kind of laid off, and then like, you know, depending on how they were laid off, if they're unhappy, like that was really fucked up kind of thing. It's like, just go a little further. Yeah. Because you guys will start to see these people don't care about you. Like work doesn't care about you like this. And I'm not saying it's like, oh, for the people who, you know, who have the unicorn jobs where it's like, oh, like my boss actually cares about me and I'm actually taken care of. No, it's like, that's not the norm. That's actually the exception. That there is a workspace that like is not completely prioritizing the shareholders and, you know, making profit, but it's like they actually care about their workers. That is the exception nowadays, because that's the thing. I'm like, I feel like Age of Aquarius is very much like slowly starting to wake up to that is the exception.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, but that's the thing. I'm like, I think everyone keeps believing that it should be the norm. Like it should be, but it's like it's not. But it's like people just think like, I think as long as I just find another job, then okay. I'm like, no, this friend of mine, she switched careers from being a teacher. She came from the teacher industry. Like that place is fucked up too. Right.
We were literally talking about education earlier, not encouraging you to ask questions about
so I'm like, yeah, I mean, what more the people, like the faculty and staff and admin who do education stuff, it's like, like underpaid, demanding work, like specifically, especially as a faculty member, like being a teacher yourself, it's like you take work home, like just as much as kids have homework, so do the teachers. And then they have to deal with like the admin side of things of like, oh, we just don't have the funding, or like, oh, the bureaucracy of like education. So she left that industry, or, you know, just education, because she was tired of it. And then she got this job, which, you know, again, it was to make ends meet, but she was hoping to kind of make a career change. But again, it just sounds like it's uncomfortable. Like, she's like, fine, she doesn't have to deal, she doesn't have to like, not deal, because she enjoyed teaching kids, and I believe her. At the same time, it's like, okay, she doesn't have to like manage kids anymore, but there's still like the bureaucracy of, you know, slow moving systems, and then like just basically people who don't care about you, and it's like, you know, tenure, and you know, oh, because I've been here longer than you, like I know better, and like it's always worked this way, blah 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 blah. And it's just it that kind of work environment, which is the norm, I feel like kills, and I think on purpose kills that, like, can we make a change for the better that's like more inclusive and like beneficial for all of us, blah blah blah. Like,
no, then that's why the whole change starts within you is true. I think that whole, oh, that's corny, is that hurts the sort of awakening movement,
like corny or cringe
or woo woo, all these. And I'm like, the fact that, you know, sometimes like on TikTok people are like, excuse my, before they even say what they're gonna say, they're like, excuse my ugly hair or whatever. I'm like, it's in the same way of like, this might be woo woo or whatever. It's like, dude, I don't need you. I understand why you're prefacing this, but just say whatever it is.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because I'm like, I told you about this too. Like, I've just brought it up many times where I'm like, I like roll like when we're watching TikTok, I'll like roll over and be like, I just saw a TikTok where the actual thing she was wanting to talk about on TikTok was good, but it was hard for me to get into it because she started out being like, I am so sorry, I'm so fucking ugly right now. I was like, oh my god. I was like, should I watch this? Like, I don't, is she upset? Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm sorry, did I say something? You know, I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah.
It kind of devalues whatever is falling. And this is not the person actively doing that. It's more so as a, it's kind of like setting intentions. It's like, you've already kind of, oh, this is where we're starting from?
Yeah.
And this is not where I want to start.
The crazy thing is, too, it's like in a split second, obviously, like, you know, she started like right away with it, but there's a quicker split second where like I register like what I'm looking at. Nowhere at all was I like, ew, she looks ugly. But like she basically filled that in for me, and even after she filled it in, I didn't think so, but I was just like, oh, like I know what you think.
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, for your shit. I'm even thinking, like, I had another foodie friend who, like, she went on her stories to talk about basically like how she was having haters on her TikTok account. So she posted about it on her Instagram story, but like she was talking about how she got like a lot of TikTok hater comments kind of thing. And she was like, I'm so sorry that I look horrible right now. Like she was like excuse, like, I remember exactly how she said it. It was like, excuse the fact that I look like a slob and my hair's so greasy and then I have like pimple. I was like, are you gonna say what you're gonna say? Like, shit, you're just
the whole laundry list. I'm so sorry for being born.
I know. I was like, sorry. Damn. I mean, then the ironic thing was that she was talking about like, oh, like I got all these like TikTok hater comments because of how I pronounce like something or like whatever. And I'm just like, well, now it's a double thing because I'm like, what is this? Like, why are you're pointing out every little thing? Which honestly, it's like so human of you to just
Maybe it's a response to whatever. I mean, I haven't been in that position. I mean, the closest again is like my whole one YouTube comment I got that was creamy hands because my hands were in the shot. I don't even know what that means. Is that negative?
It's like, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Like, what did you intend it to be?
Like, sometimes creamy can be good, so I guess I can take it as good. But I'm like, I don't know because they didn't say anything.
Because it felt so like toneless to the point where it's like, I don't know if you intended that to be an insult or not.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
But if it's not, and this is where I am part of the equation. If it was toneless, all right, what tone am I applying? If it's neutral, that I can bump it either way. I'm probably gonna bump it negative if my opinion about myself.
Because it's like
anything negative.
It's either a compliment, an insult, or just an observation. That's like, yeah.
but the thing is, because the context of the video is not about my hands. I was showing the bag.
I know.
And then, but my hands are showing the bag.
thing is, the content was like, you were going in on like the details of the bag, like this is how it's made, the stitching, the design, the brand, and this guy is like, you have creamy hands. And it's like, damn, like, and that's the thing. I'm like, however he meant it, but more so just however you took it. Which honestly, like, it's a joke between us, and it's a good one. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, you like, people pleasing is an empty effort, because it's like, you can do all you can to be so like, yes, like, here is this, like, I don't know, just like very detailed, very thoughtful, all these, you know, great things. But it's like, if someone just sees one thing, they're
right.
Like,
but then it becomes my choice, because all right, the next video I have an array of, I can start with being like, I'm so sorry for my creamy hands, you got, like, whatever. Or I could just not show my hands in videos, but then now what I'm gonna do? You like use 2 spoons to but,
like salad fingers.
But that's people pleasing. That's the whole thing that you and I both have had to get rid of. Even like this being out, an interesting thing that we'll be absolutely discussing is if we get interesting comments. I'm not gonna just say hate comments, but just comments that don't seem to address, or they like single out something when it's like, what did you want to elaborate? Like, this is a comment, so you can say, what is it?
Honestly, I'm almost gonna just like, you know, what is it? Fire some shots or something and be like, okay, tell me more. Like, please tell me more. Because like, you're so invested, and like, now so am I, you know? I'd love to hear what you think, Mr. Hater.
Right. And, but, I mean, yeah, okay, what was the maybe worst or most memorable anything comment you've gotten for as long as you've been public? Not on your personal stuff, but even...
Actually, where I went to immediately, it was more like a compliment that I got that has like continued to stay with me.
Which was?
But it's not like an insult or anything, because I'm having a harder time drawing that up, which I'm like, does that say something? But I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't think that it's like I've never gotten insults, but I think it's just like I actually don't think about them too much nowadays. I'm trying to think. I'm like, maybe there are some, but I'm like, I can't really think of them. Because it's like, I think like, I'm like, I know that I had gotten, not, I don't think like a lot, but it's just like, I've had like 1 or 2, you know, in my more like public time. But I'm realizing, I'm like, I can't even bring them to the top of my head, because I'm like, I think I stopped internalizing them, or didn't really, you know, take it to heart, or like let go of taking it to heart.
Yeah. I take that as a positive. Even then, it'll still be interesting to see how, if and how this may be received by, because
but like the comment or the compliment that I got, it was funny to me, because it's like, bro is gorgeous.
Wait,
like the comment just
bro is gorgeous.
Yeah, bro is gorgeous, and I was like, all right. I was like, I love it, thank you. It just felt funny to me, because I was like, I have no idea how to take this, but whatever you're calling me, like, I'm gorgeous apparently, so I'm like, cool. So I'm like, all right,
I'll take it. Yeah, because what I'm thinking is, I have my perception of you, you have your perception of me, and we have ideas of how we may be perceived when we're interacting. It'll be interesting to see how that aligns with comments or responses to people perceiving us.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I'm like, when I think about, or like when I truly admit to myself about it, I'm like, I really don't think that there's any insult that someone could give me that I probably haven't already told myself. And so I'm already like working on and like learning and processing and like all that stuff.
Yeah, I think about the people who maybe they got big before they were able to even start on the healing journey. So then they had to really like internalize a lot of shitty stuff because they weren't aware that it was just all projections.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the biggest one. I think it's just, I mean, just as much as insults, so is compliments too. But it's like people really will only interact with you as much as they like feel or sense that within themselves.
Yeah.
Even the parts where it's like, oh, like, you suck. It's like, oh, I'm sorry that you say that to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know, right? I'm like, oh, I see. So tell me, what am I? You know, it's like, oh, I told you suck. It's like, oh, like,
yeah, we're back on the playground.
What am I? Like,
yeah.
Oh, they'd hate that. Yeah. I've seen like tips to de-escalate people or like whatever. Like one of them was like, if you want someone who's trying to, what is it? Like rev you up or like kind of trying to start something, just smile and say thank you. It'll completely throw them off their tracks because it's just like they want you to engage and be angry and like all this stuff. But if you're just like, thanks, like just genuine, not even like thanks, but like thank you, they'd be like yeah. Wait, but like short circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious what's going to show up for us as we go down this path. Whether it's comments or whatever. Like, nothing's going to stop us. Because, again, we've gotten to this point. We've stopped ourselves plenty enough.
I know. I'm like, so no one else can really stop me but myself. Like, yeah. I'm really the only person who can stop me at this point.
And I'm tired of that now. Yeah. I mean, it's not like... It wasn't even that we were... Yes, there were parts where some, I think, maybe dragging our feet or something, but it wasn't this ongoing thing where I felt like called to do this every single day. No, I was more just lost for a long time. Still am, but it just feels like signs are saying, go this way, maybe this is something.
Well, I told you, I'm like, because you're making it a point to be like, today on February 13th. I'm like, okay, let me talk about my day. Literally got my 4th job application rejection. Work has been it has been for a while now, but like continues and in even more like I would think like, oh, can the fucked upness at work continue to surprise me? Oh, it can. I'm like, oh, it can. I guess we're bringing up shit from a month ago that we're supposed to redo when it's like, what the hell?
Upping the chaos factor.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it just feels like kind of like that British tea bag that we saw. I feel like the bursting at the seams, it's like also something is like pulling to make the thing that's containing the seams tighter. Yeah. So whatever's inside is like, it's like oozing out like a stress ball, That's what we're stress balls right now. That's what I feel like.
Unloading, decompressing, like that bag of chips on that How To with John Wilson episode. Yeah. It's just so big. Yeah, I don't know what this is gonna be. We can try to see, like, after this, what is the process like, uploading and everything. Maybe this can be a daily thing, maybe not. I really like the idea of having something to look back on. Yeah. If for nobody else, that's something that you and I have enjoyed for ourselves for a long time. Just like when we logged into these accounts today and saw our old posts and captions or archived things,
it's like
that was a joy.
Right. And I'm thinking too, I'm like, when I think about it as I am now, I'm like, I didn't regret any of that. I had so much fun doing that. And it's not even like there's nothing I regret. It's more just like, oh man, I can't help but wonder, like, if we had posted more, would there have been more things to look back on and be like, oh my gosh, like, I remember when we did that. I mean, the thing is like, we know that there's more because we have it like in our like, you know, storage files, but none of them ever made it to like an upload state. So
yeah,
we don't have a lot of uploaded things to look back on, but it's like, yeah, there's a lot of like that whole perfectionist thing, because it's just like we actually have, you know, for every like one video, one song, one or like several like picture sets or whatever, there is 10 times more that never saw this the what is it, the light of day or whatever. Yeah.
It's like, are you a creative if you don't have a bunch of your stuff hidden in the drafts forever?
And it's like, in a way, yes, like there have been some like famous artists or poets or like blah 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 where it's like people found their stash of work after they died, and I'm like, you like technically you could be, but only after death. And I'm like, you know what, to be honest, I would like to not die to kind of have this stuff out.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that touches on the whole, we're not doing this for recognition, but more so we want to connect. I want to connect.
Right.
Not in the way that, for example, we were touching on earlier, that the work environment wants you to connect through the water cooler or whatever on your own. I'm like, no, I want to connect with people simply about what we're talking about, or anything else we're creating together. Like,
I love freely, candid, connecting environments, because it's like work-wise, it's like, yeah, like there's a water cooler or there's like happy hours, but it's like it's still under surveillance. You still cannot fully be yourself because someone's always watching.
Exactly.
Someone's gonna be like,
HR.
Yeah, and someone's gonna be like, hey, let's hop on a call at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the like, so dumb.
Yeah.
Or even worse, like just out of the blue, like they expect you to pick up on your personal number. Like, no. If we're at work, like, no, I'm not answering my personal phone.
I'm thinking about okay, so there's this idea of wanting to connect through our creations, even this conversation being one, a quote podcast, and then the feeling of detachment from work.
Yeah.
That feels significant. That, okay, all right, so here's this thing that you don't feel connected to, and yet you're seeking, you're seeking connection. Create, yeah.
And like the thing is too, like I think another reason why I've gotten so down on myself is also feeling like, I mean, again, 2021 was a really big reflective year of just like, you know, for one, getting laid off, so like a huge personal trauma and PTSD and just like doubt professionally. And then, you know, on the other hand, feeling like my creative efforts, because I went like all in for it, basically, like I gave it my all at the time, and then just felt like it was a numbers game, and I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And so it just felt like like a 2-for-1 of just like, wow, okay, professionally can't do anything, and then also creatively can't do anything. It just felt like I had nowhere else to go. And like it kind of felt like my efforts were really futile, but you know, I've carried that for a few years now, but I'm just like, nowadays I'm like, whatever, like I'm like, I might as well just create anyways, even if the possible potential is that it doesn't really do anything. I'm just like, whatever. Like, what I do enjoy is being able to look back on it with you and be like, oh my god, like,
exactly,
we did that. That's like, I'm proud of that, that I can look back on those things and be like, oh my god, I did that. Yeah.
This, again, is first and foremost for us, so that we can look back on it. But even, like, the idea of connection that I was talking about, it's still for us. We want to feel connected to other people, so everything is still selfish at the end of the day, which is not what it's been made out to be. You need to live your life. I do want to bring up, though, I remember, and I still don't know what the hell it meant, but that one post that you made, that this was when you were going into foodie stuff, I think, and so I don't know if it was a company or it's just some other, like a restaurant reached out and they were like, oh, we liked your TikTok, or I think it was a TikTok, can we post it?
Oh my god.
And then it got something like 1 million views.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
But the original on your page did not, numbers wise, wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, it was because, like, you know, I don't know if you noticed with Instagram, but sometimes it looks like a zigzag where it's like, sometimes it'll be like, oh, this video had a lot of views, and then this next one, you know, half the amount of views, and then the third one has similar amount of views as the first one, and then like that's kind of the pattern, is it's like, it's almost like I started to expect like, oh, like maybe a video that I'm not so invested in, I can post it for today because I know with the pattern of how they're exposing, it'll kind of be lower, which that one was.
Yeah.
But then, the sushi restaurant, they liked it and they're like, oh, like, can we use it? And I was like, sure. Like, I love supporting, and like they were like, well, obviously credit you, like, we're not gonna take credit for it, but we'd like to share it on our page too. I was like, for sure. And then they did, and then it's like, so it was like the highest performing thing they had. I think I even checked at some point last year, like sometime last year, like, so like let's say like several months ago or something. And like I was kind of scrolling to find my video, and I was like, again, mine was still the top viewed one. Everything else after that, even up to that point that I last checked, didn't reach the views that I had. And I was like, what the, and like that's it. Like I feel like that sent me into like a tizzy of depression, because I
remember I was mad for you too. And confused also. It's like, what does this mean?
I was so upset.
Like, you put all your effort into this thing, and it's clearly good objectively. If we're gonna, like numbers wise, it's successful. Why, if it came from you, does that not come back to you? And that's those are still questions that maybe need to be answered. Being answered.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, whatever. I'm like, just create to create, and even if it can appear that like nothing's happening, it's like, this is for you and for no one else, really. With the desire to connect, hopefully. But it's not because like I'm doing this for other people, to connect with other people. I want that. At the same time, though, I'm like, the why, like, that's the desire, that's the want, but the why is for me. It's because I want to have a record to look back on and be like, wow.
Yeah. See, these are things that I've tabbed away, that I am still like, I want to make sense of things. Sometimes things don't make sense yet. Maybe they're not meant to in a certain way. I don't know. Just like I cannot tell you right now in this moment why we're doing this. Why are we here right now? Why are we making this? I'm not, other than my best guess, we feel restless. This feels like something, could wait to kind of get it out. We need to create many different ways, but this is the best way to baby step into it. And also, it's still confronting.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing though too is I'm just like, in a way, this is the least copyrighted thing that we're doing, because it's like, I remember we've had ideas of like oh, like we can do songs, like blah blah blah, and then also like we were even at one point thinking like, oh, like we could do like our talks whenever we watch TV, but then that would require like whatever thing we were watching so that people understood the context. But again, copyright. I'm like, this, how can you copyright this? No. You know what I mean? I'm just like, how can you copyright this? Like, no.
This straight from the horse's mouth.
Asshole. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm even thinking like, it's funny how the screen lit up again. Like we're not touching it, but it just lights up every now and then, and like suddenly it shows, oh, it's like 55-ish minutes. I'm like, oh wow, we've already been talking that long.
Yeah. I mean, there go the hours a day we are talking to each other. That is all we're doing, because at this point in life, not really hanging out with too many people. Not really. We work, and we'll go out to eat. That is why I'm interested in documenting that, because that's a few times we'll leave the apartment is to go eat, so, and or grocery shop, but eating more so nowadays. We've been Uber Eatsing more with those fees.
I know. I'm so embarrassed, but yeah, I'm like, part of me is slightly like, like, would it be a consideration to like possibly pay like the monthly fee to like not have to pay the delivery fee?
Maybe we can, we look into the math of that and see what that'll come out to.
I'm pretty sure it will come out cheaper. But Well, honestly, nothing comes out cheaper if we're spending money, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
The cheapest is if we don't spend any money at all. But I'm like,
Yeah.
let me have my little sad girl thing.
Maybe we pay for it for the duration of winter. It's still winter.
Yeah, like, because you can just do, like, they have a monthly plan, and then they have an entire year plan. Like, you pay for a whole year. But I'm like, what if by the time it's not winter, like, we don't really care about Uber Eatsing anymore?
Right, yeah, because we definitely not know. We want to go out. It's just with the fog.
It's so
Lately,
cold.
it's been sunny.
Yeah.
But we even took a walk today, which is where the video.
Yeah, and our nose was like a little wet.
It
I
was
like,
so cold.
Yeah.
Even
But I was
though
like,
it's sunny.
I'm so sad. I just need to see the sun. I mean, like, the parts where the sun was showing, it was like marginally warm, but it was nice. But then it's like the second we were in like the shadow, I was like, it's frigid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm ready for the summer.
Me too.
The summer of my life.
Honestly, though, who knows?
Yeah. This has been an important first step. It's like very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the bigness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if it's just to just put this out, just like going back on our YouTube channel felt really good. I felt really good looking back on it, seeing, oh my god, like this was our thing. Like I remember setting it up. I remember the conversations we had around picking the username and the excitement there. And it's not like that. It's literally, I can still just tap into it. It's so easy because it's been there this whole time.
It was fun editing it because it was so funny how we were doing everything. And I mean, we didn't watch the entire delisted video, but it was like, I still remember how we edited some of the parts, like when we were in the car and then that girl was driving by and she was like, like that. I still remember how we stopped and then like did our post edits. So funny.
Yes.
So funny.
Yeah, and to the point that you made about how we have all those like like drafted work. It's not even unlisted, but it never even was.
It didn't even make it up onto
like the field days in Seattle, like
oh fuck,
yeah.
Oh,
we still have all that footage, and I'm sitting here thinking, is it okay that if that never shows? What it is like, what are you doing in this moment? And I'm like, I want to be doing stuff like this. I want to be creating again.
Well, you know what? Actually, I think, okay, I didn't forget about field days, not for a second. It's more just like because they never made it to YouTube. They never made it to YouTube. I wasn't thinking about them today, but what I will say actually is that because like the last like 2 almost 3 weeks we've been like specifically going out on the weekends and like getting our little like coffee treat and then like we go eat somewhere after that, or either eat and then coffee or coffee and then eat, whatever. It's like I was actually starting to be reminded of field days because I was like, we've been kind of going to like new places, and I was being reminded of our field days. And I was even thinking of before all this, I was kind of ruminating on proposing like, hey, like, would you want to do something about that? Or I don't know, like, 'cause we've been like, when I look at my camera roll, most of the places we've been trying, I'm like, oh, they're all new, which is nice. So.
Yeah, I want to. That could be the visual aspect of this, because I mean, I'm thinking about this now that the time is. What is this? I'm checking the time. We're 58 minutes has flown by, but that amount of like also visual footage in a video format might be pretty big and take a long time to upload. So what if we kept something like this purely audio with like a photo?
Well, that's why I was saying earlier.
The like video stuff, we still put effort into, but it's for when we go out.
That's why I was saying, like, because again, you were like, oh, like let's like record ourselves doing this podcast. I'm like, let's start small, knowing that we don't quite have currently available like terabytes worth of storage.
Right.
But I was thinking, because I was like, I know that podcasts can be very long, and that's the point. But that's why I was like thinking, I was like, well, yeah, our podcast can just be like voice and then super like basically an image as a video.
Yeah,
that's it. But we don't have to like. That's why I was saying earlier, maybe on the weekends we can do vlogging stuff so that there's still some aspect of we video our lives.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, we have to video us talking, just our conversation. You know, I'm not saying like that can never happen. I'm just saying like right now, I think that makes the most sense, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like that's like settling. I'm literally just like, it'll help get us off the ground of just doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice balance. And it wouldn't really change that much as we already go out to record. I mean, we talk about it. Maybe there's some planning involved, but I don't think it'll be too much. I think we can do that.
Yeah. And yeah, vlogs can be like short and sweet.
Yeah. Versus this is the more like long form, slower to digest.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is nice, yeah. Some things, oh my god, I just got that, I heard that. You're not gonna know until you start doing it, and then things will become clear. That's what the sort of message I was getting right now was, I wouldn't have gotten to this point if we didn't sit down, and then now 58, however many minutes have gone by, I'm like, oh, now I'm realizing that and I'm sure maybe you were already there, realizing the value of just audio only, but I think you understand that it's also my excitement coming through.
I know, and that's the thing, like, that's why I was also telling you earlier, look, none of this is to deter or to, like, stamp out the excitement / like the you and I both share, like, dreaming big. I don't think there's a problem though with like dreaming, like continuing to dream big. Like I'm not dreaming any less big. I'm gonna keep big dreams going on because I can't help it. I just do. That's just how I am. And also knowing that I'm like, well, you know, even though I've been on my perfectionist journey, it's not like, oh yeah, like I'm aware, done, like that's it, it's over, it's bye-bye. I'm like, no, I have so much excitement and like passion for these big dreams that there's an equal amount of like scaredness for fucking up. That's the part that I'm trying to get over. So I'm like, how about I start small? Not saying that I'm keeping myself small, I'm just starting small, like baby steps. Stepping stones, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not treating this as stepping stone or baby steps, but more like that's just kind of where we can start out anyways, you know.
Yeah, it simply needs to begin, and then it'll reveal itself to you what's the next thing. And now being at this moment, I'm understanding, yeah, that's how we can incorporate something visual, because the whole thing with like being perceived too, it's not just that just didn't want to limit ourselves to podcasting, even although it's an important part of what we want to do too.
Well, because that's the thing, you and I have identified, and like, you know, I think actually for many years, it's just in the earlier years, it was hard to put like words to what this identification was, but it's like, that's the thing, we, against like the trends or like the expertise from online people, it's like we are not people who can niche ourselves down. It's like we have so many multi-interests where it's like, yes, I mean, obviously it's not like we're like, oh, it's not like we're going to be podcasting and then I'm painting as I'm talking to you. No, it's not like that. I'm not going to multitask. At the same time, I'm like, I am so multi-interested that I can't just like, oh, my whole life is one thing. Because I'm someone who gets sick of things really easily, like, you know.
That could actually turn me off to an idea of something, because it's like, oh yeah, choose it, and that's it. That's you forever.
Well, that's what we're told with work. Like, it's like our whole, I mean, what, bringing it back to school, like the whole part of when we were talking about school. School tells us, get good, like, you know, get good grades, aka be a perfectionist, to then get a good job that, you know, a good job that's going to take care of you for the rest of your life, aka niching yourself down. Yeah.
Specializing, basically.
Yeah, specializing. Like,
choose a major, you know?
Yeah, like people, oh my gosh, and I'm just like, I mean, you and I both had the experience of like, we weren't quite, you know, just like a shoe-in for our majors. We had to like apply / like have like portfolios or whatever the frick.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. I mean, like when I looked back at my portfolio for getting into my major, I was like, I cannot believe that was accepted. But obviously I talked to Naomi about it, and I mean, she was just like, no, I saw it. Like I saw your your spark there. And I was like, wow, kind of thing. Because it's like, I look back on it, I'm like, oh my God. Like, again, it's not like the work was bad. It was just such a, like, such a small portfolio. I was like, I cannot believe I was picked, kind of thing. And then, yeah, for you too, like, your major was also competitive, and it was just like, what the heck?
There's so much anxiety about testing well enough to get the good enough points to make the cutoff. Like, I remember there was such a already introduced stress about being selected for something in college, when it's like, oh, I thought I already got in.
Right.
I thought that was
it's like, there's already stress of getting into college,
now
and then
you have to get a major.
yeah, and then by the way, in college, you're not even guaranteed a major, because otherwise your major is going to say undecided, but that's not acceptable. So like, what, you just go to the major that accepts everyone?
Yeah.
Which I'm not even making a dig at that. No. I'm just saying, I'm like, that's just like the system we're set up in.
Yes, look at how ridiculous it is. Yeah. So it's like, in that way, I don't wanna niche us down. We are not just some major. We're not. We have so many interests. We want to do it all. On top of that, traveling. And
that's the thing. It's like, I want to stop listening to the voices, or like, you know, those societal sayings of like, they want to do it all. Well, good luck with that. Like, you tire yourself out. I'm like, I'm already tired. I'm tired of trying to niche myself down. I'm not tired if I can switch gears every now and then, because I'm like, oh, I feel like doing this today. Cool. I still have a platform for that, or like whatever. That's the thing. I've actually been tired of niching myself down, not the other way around.
Fed up. Thinking small. Yeah.
Yeah,
we can do it all. The whole spreading yourself thin, or like, what is that? Jack of all trades, master of none. It's like,
am I supposed to be a master of something? Like,
right? Or does it have to be that extreme too?
It's like, even that phrase, I always had a problem with it, because it always felt like, oh, it's like slightly like bad connotation with like the Jack of all trades, master of none. Because I'm just like, what's wrong with that? Like, it sounds like it's someone who is curious about a lot of things. Like, why, like, versus like someone who's really good at one thing, which again, if you're really good at that one thing, that's awesome. But it's just like, if you have nothing at, like, no other like interest, or even like, I've never thought of that, I'm like, ooh, like, I am not the person for you, because I'm not saying that that's not even a bad, like, that's not a bad thing. It's just, that's not my style.
But I think that's what the sort of system awards is. Oh, we want you to do one thing, because then you can get locked in that thing. You do it forever.
You don't question things.
You don't question things.
Because if you're already a master at things in this conventional like programming, if you're already a master at something, what else do you have to question about it?
Exactly.
Nothing.
You are the authority now. You are the one that people are clamoring to get to your level.
Yeah, but as someone who's multi-interested, you know, in some contexts, it's like, you're a beginner at a lot of things. You're, quote, bad at a lot of things, but that's where you can improve. That's where you can learn. That's where you can ask questions. And that's what felt more like, this is more me. Like, I love learning these things. I love learning about a bunch of... I do love learning about niches. I just don't believe that I'm a niche, you know?
Right.
Or it's like I am a niche, but not in like you have to niche yourself down. I'm like, no, I am the niche, like me, but not what I do.
Right. I'm just uniquely me in the same way that everyone else is uniquely there, if they're open to themselves in that way. No, the path I was heading down before awakening was to niche myself down. Maybe not as a content creator, but as this job. I'm just gonna, you know, work in tech, and that's it. That's like my thing. And no. But and this is the whole thing of anytime I'm frustrated with the speed at which we all wake up, it's like, well, I also took my time too, because I needed to. I needed my time to do what I needed to do, and now I'm here. And
it's like, wow, it's like, I mean, I can't even, you know, or it's like, I'm not even gonna be like, oh, like, I have all this horn to toot, like, you know, like, I can't fully toot my own horn, because it's like, while I was hyper aware of many things and questioned many things at a very early age, my Achilles heel in that sense was I was scared, and like I chose not being alone, that versus being myself, because being myself probably would have meant I would have been alone / dealt with even more like criticism and like outward, you know, punishment and like stuff like that. I am sure of that. At the same time, I'm like, no, like I need to keep it as least damaging as possible. And so
least offensive.
Yeah, least offensive as possible, because I was already like, you know, led to believe I'm an offensive person. And I was like, wow. But yeah, now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, fine, I'm an offensive person. I mean, I don't think so, but if someone else thinks so, that's their thing to think.
Yeah,
I don't think that, but I'm like, okay. I don't intend to be that way. At the same time, I'm like, look, I cannot stop you from thinking, like, from you thinking what you want to think. So
yeah, this is between us. Oh my god, it's so weird. It is both between us, and I know we're putting it out there. That's just it. This is the whole thing of when we ask many people to be able to hold two seemingly contradictory ideas together, one in one hand and one in the other. You can't do that. I know, but it seems like a big ask. No, like everyone is a walking contradiction. Do you understand that about yourself? Yes, this is for us. And it's also being put out on the internet. If it's just for you, why don't you just keep it in a file folder? I'm like, because that's not what this is fully. That is just, I'd be cutting this in half. This experience. The dichotomy or the duality of the inner and the outer.
wait, was there something more you were gonna say to that, or just
no.
the inner and the outer, like?
Oh, maybe the inside and the outside.
What? Like just as
what's inside and what's outside.
Like okay.
Like this.
I thought you were like pausing to try to figure out what word to say.
No. I was pausing thinking about how it sounded like innie and outie, the belly buttons.
Yeah. Think about it though. Life starts from the belly button. I mean, obviously in the uterus, but I'm like, life is connected at a belly button.
This is true. And they're so sensitive.
They are. Yeah.
I can't imagine piercing it. That's,
oh my gosh.
Like, I would just...
No, because I remember as a kid, I remember one time, because I knew about piercings, so I was like, whoa, people get that? So, I mean, I never like stuck a needle there, nothing. It was more just like, I took my nails, and I like squeezed it, and I was like, ow! Because, like, and I didn't even squeeze it that hard, but I squeezed it, and I was like, oh, like, it was just, it was like a weird, uncomfy sensation. Like, I'm even getting tingles right now, because I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like, I'm just like, I salute people who wanted it and then got it and dealt with whatever pain that has. I mean, I know that they mainly pierce like the skin above the belly button, but I have seen some piercings of like the belly button, like the button part, not the navel or like the
skin above.
Yeah, no. Like I saw one that was like the button, and I was like,
wow. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I think people truly just pick their own experiences, because I was going to be like, well, but here you are, like full arm sleeve, full leg sleeve, and
this is true.
That's its own version of pain. Like some people are like, I can get a piercing, but it's like, because it's just like a one in that, like an instant thing. And then obviously you just deal with your maintenance, but it's like tattoos.
I'm sitting here with hours of pain.
Yeah, hours and multiple tattoos for an entire limb. 2 entire limbs, and it's like, what the? Yeah. Some people could never do that. Yeah. But some people can do piercings. Yeah. And I'm like, wow.
It is a pick and choose.
It is you pick your own experiences. Yeah. Like, I mean, even the silly comparison of like, oh, someone who's like super tatted up is scared of like vaccine needles because it's like. Because it goes in you, and I'm like, what?
Or deeper or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it is. That's it. Again, that touches on the whole walking contradictions. Yeah. We're all that in some way. Yeah. And if you disagree, then I'm like, no. I mean, let me look at, who are you when you're at home? I'll do a full audit, and I can
Yeah.
tell you where you contradict yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you're bad or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe becoming aware of it could bring you some peace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could do this semi-regularly, like
Yeah.
daily or not. Like we'll see what the
I'm
process
even
is
thinking, I'm like, if we ever find ourselves like getting cut, like even getting an inkling that like, oh, this is probably going to be a whole conversation, we can just whip this out.
Yes, exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's
again,
why
this
it's
is-
meant to be easy.
Yeah, that's what I kept emphasizing earlier. I was like, please, at least to start, let's just make it as easy as possible. Like where it's almost like nothing's different. Like slightly, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if it's just like this, we're already a little over an hour now in. I'm like, honestly, I could do this every day. Like this is very easy. But it's like by the end of the week, oh shit, we'll have like 10 weeks. Like if it's like once a week, we'll have 10 weeks worth of stuff.
Yeah.
By the end of the week.
Yeah.
That's just a vague number, but you know what I'm saying, right? Where I'm just like, wow, you know?
Yeah.
Because this is, again, like I said, at the end of the day, this is the thing that is the least amount of effort I ever have to do. Because I'm just comfy and yapping. Because I love yapping.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be okay if we have an intention to start on one topic, but then it's going to brand into many things. And we'll probably fold back into topics we covered a day, 2 days ago. That's fine. We're always building on it because we are changing every single day.
Yeah, I'm thinking like some of them might be like specific topics, like specific where it's like, oh, we're definitely talking about like this is the main topic. And then some of them will kind of be like multi-topics where it's like, oh, we're kind of just like flowing around through it, and like we'll try to like, I don't know, have titles that reflect it enough. But yeah, I'm like, I don't think this has to be so rigid, because again, our talks usually are very back and forth, you know.
What will we call this one?
I don't know.
This one.
Hey. How y'all doing?
Because I mean, we could just number them, but I do like the idea of giving some context to the title of what it is. Even for our reference to like, oh, episode 2. No, how about episode 2? Elephants. And okay, so we talked about elephants.
Yeah, it could be like, you know, because today wasn't quite a specific topic. It was just, I mean, it's also literally like our first one, but it could be kind of like, you know, how does that song go? It's like greens, beans, and yellow, like kind of like that, where it's just like a bunch of commas, where it's like, oh, like this, like
keywords.
Yeah, like planes, trains, and walking. I don't know, like some.
Right.
I was thinking of a joke, and I was like, it's not coming out. You know, it like fell away. I was like, no. I had a tower moment in my head about this joke. I was like, no. It crumbled. So then all that came out was and walking, like, you know. Whoa.
Okay. I think maybe let's end it here.
Yeah.
And then keep in mind how long it takes for us to maybe process this and get it to a point where we can just upload it and see how long that takes. And then,
I love it.
Yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah.
Again, maybe daily, maybe every other, or I don't know. It's also
at any point
feeling it too. We can just not.
Yeah. And at any point, like, you know, if we remember to start recording, if we record and it's like, like, okay, like it was pretty short, like whatever, like we'll just keep everything, you know, do as much as we can.
Yeah.
Slay.
Perfect. All right.
It.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.